Good morning, welcome to a new market update, and today we're going to discuss Bitcoin, Ethereum and altcoins, as Bitcoin is currently at the upper side of the range resistance while altcoins are dropping down a little in their Bitcoin pairs. What's next for them? That's what we're going to discuss here, and also what's next for Bitcoin. That's the first topic that we're going to address. Before that, do not forget to subscribe beneath and also like the YouTube update, and don't forget to check out our website where you can trade alongside me, also get trade IDs from the team and educational and fundamental content within a new platform which we are creating at this point. Check out the website beneath if you want to become a member. So let's get to Bitcoin at this stage, and if we look at the chart that I've been using in the previous period, we are still seeing the exact same structure as the one that we did see yesterday, in which we are currently at the range resistance. We are also holding a critical level for support, which we'll be addressing in a little bit. But overall, we've got a nice short squeeze towards this range high, in which we can conclude that we've got a higher high, but we're also looking for a higher low to be established afterwards in order to confirm or justify that the trend change is happening. Therefore, I'm not expecting us to see the 40k or 41k level crack in one go. I'm assuming that we will be rejecting it a little bit, through which we're going to test lower levels before we're going to make a new breakout. What you can also see is that if we are going to have a new run after this corrective move, we can expect 48k, which is a very critical resistance zone, and 59k as the next potential hurdles. If we go towards a zoomed in version of Bitcoin, we can see that we're currently range bound, right? So we're again acting in between a range in which the past few days we have been creating a potential bearish divergence. So we can see that in this structure we've got a bearish divergence. Also, we've got a decreasing volume, which usually is a signal that the trend is about to reverse. What we can also see is that we've swept this high, and that took the liquidity, which was not that much. But since then we have been going down towards the range low, which is the area around 38.9k, which I've discussed yesterday. That is the critical breaker for Bitcoin to sustain if it wants to avoid a breakdown. Because if 38.9k is lost, the area that I'm going to look at for support is the area around 36k next. But most likely, as you have seen in my previous chart, the next level is 34.5, as there's just a very big gap between. So if we crack south, most likely we get a structure of a bounce off at 36k, bearish rejection, and then we start to have a little downtrend before we continue moving, if 38.9k is lost, of course. So if we see the upper side of Bitcoin at this stage, we currently see 38.9k hold. Therefore, it still seems likely that, given the fact that we are in such a heavy resistance zone, that 41 or at least a new liquidity tap will be done before we are going to reverse. That is the second scenario that I'm looking at. So at this stage, the two scenarios that I'm looking at for Bitcoin is either we're going to reject at 40.3 to 40.6, and we're going to reverse, through which we get a scenario of lower highs and multiple tests of support, which is called the descending triangle, through which it seems very likely that we're going to break south, and the next test around 36.8 is going to happen for a bearish retest and a slight downwards trend before we're going to continue moving. The second scenario that I'm looking at is that we're sweeping the high, and then the question becomes whether we can keep the high. Otherwise, we'll probably see a fake out, and then the other side of the range will be tested, just like we have been doing with the test at 31k, before we're going to drop towards 36k too. Clear breakout above 42k and flipping that for support, and I think we're going to continue towards 49. But now, if we look at altcoins, we can see that most of them are just consolidating at this stage, right? So Ethereum, Bitcoin is currently making this downwards trend, while if you look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, you can see that we are making the exact opposite of Ethereum against Bitcoin. Well, why is that? Well, Ethereum is one of the largest altcoins, meaning that it has the biggest influence on the Bitcoin dominance chart. Overall, I have to do it like this. The scenario that we're looking at with the dominance chart is that we have been trending up with the dominance since the 13th of May, right? So since the 13th of May, we are looking at this upwards momentum, meaning that that was the actual crash of Bitcoin, and the market doesn't feel safe enough to be in altcoins at this stage. However, we are looking at a very critical resistance or a critical point with the dominance, which is around 50%, through which this scenario seems still very likely, especially given the upwards momentum on the dominance chart, but also given the downwards momentum on Ethereum against Bitcoin, which is very comparable to any price structures that we have seen in 2016 and in 2017. During 2016, we've seen a corrective move towards a retest of the previous high and a bounce afterwards. In 2017, we've also seen a temporary corrective move after a big impulse move before another one happened after. If we look at Ethereum against USD, during those years, we can also see that we've had a very large impulse wave, a very nasty corrective move, and since then we have been consolidating, retesting lower levels before a new impulse wave started. Also, if you look at the 2017 scenario, we can see that we've had a very harsh correction of about 70% plus before we started to reverse here and testing previous levels. If we look at Ethereum against USD at this stage, we can see that, especially if we look at the weekly time frame, we are retesting US dollar blocks of support. So we had a big impulse to the upside, testing the lower levels, through which it's a very comparable move as in 2016 and 2017, and the chances of Ethereum being bottomed out are significant, through which a retest of 4K in the coming period to make such a range-bound construction like we had in 2017 is very likely to be happening. Especially, you don't really want to see Ethereum drop beneath the previous all-time high, but overall we are in a very heavy block of support on a weekly time frame, and we've had a double bottom structure through which, as I discussed earlier, you want to see a higher low being happening on Ethereum at this stage, which is probably around 2K, and then we can start trending upwards. So when is Ethereum against Bitcoin going to reverse the momentum here, as it's currently trending south? Well, most likely if Bitcoin is going to consolidate and show a signal of bottoming. So if Bitcoin is going to consolidate here and not going vertical above 42K, that is the moment where altcoins are most likely going to surge again. Most of them are actually at very high time frame support levels or order blocks, and some of them are actually bouncing heavily already, but that is mostly the smaller altcoins at this stage. But if we look at Ethereum, we can see that we've got those lower highs and lower lows. And currently we are at a crucial point. So you could argue that we're currently seeing a trend or a falling wedge structure that is most likely going to make a breakout during the period after August. Also, if you look at the level that we're currently approaching, we can see that this level has many touches during the previous cycle in which support was granted, breakdown causing a very heavy downwards move, and through which we can see that we're currently acting there as support. We are also retesting the previous block of support before we're going to continue moving, as I just discussed with Ethereum USDT. That has also been done in the previous cycle. So would you be looking at altcoins at this stage? Well, we are currently at support with Ethereum Bitcoin, the first level we are currently seeing. Smaller altcoins are already at support, but we could still have a potential breakdown of this level of another 10 to 15% towards a very heavy block of support here, and also the previous high of February 2021 coming into play. The scenario that you see here from March to April is also still standing, through which we can assume that we're going to get something like this before we're going to break out. Overall, we just seen a very big impulse move on altcoins. Some altcoins have not been doing anything at all. But with Ethereum 2.0, with every upgrade that is coming up, with Bitcoin most likely going for a new cycle too, I think you want to start scaling into Ethereum around this level, all the way down towards this green block, if you get the opportunity. And if Ethereum is good for scaling in at this stage, you know that you should be looking at altcoins in general as well, because people are usually not interested in altcoins, and currently they are only interested in Bitcoin and expecting it to run to 100k. So that's usually a moment where you should be diving into them. That's my update for today. Don't forget to subscribe beneath. Don't forget to check out my website, and I'll see you again tomorrow.